It began with what seemed like a typical evening. Mark Consuelos, the charismatic co-host of Live with Kelly and Mark, and his wife, Kelly Ripa, were spending quiet time together at their elegant New York City townhouse. It was a rare moment of calm for the television star, whose relentless filming and travel schedule often left little room for rest. They were laughing over dinner, reminiscing about their early days. Mark telling one of his charismatic Hollywood stories, Kelly letting out that infectious laugh like she always does. For a moment, everything felt wonderfully, blissfully normal. But in a flash, it all changed. Mid-sentence, Mark suddenly clutched his chest in intense pain, his face draining of color. At first, Kelly thought it was just one of his pranks. But then she saw the fear in his eyes and realized something was very, very wrong. In a matter of seconds, Mark collapsed. Kelly screamed. She ran to his side, trying to rouse him, her voice trembling as she called emergency services. The woman the public knows as energetic, witty, America's sweetheart, was now a wife in absolute panic, desperately begging her husband to open his eyes. Mark Consuelos was rushed to a top-tier Manhattan hospital under emergency conditions. The Consuelos Ripa family, notoriously private about their personal lives despite their public personas, went completely silent. Rumors flooded social media. Paparazzi camped outside the hospital. But inside, only a few knew what was truly going on, and the truth was more devastating than anyone could have imagined. After exhaustive tests and long consultations with specialists, Mark was diagnosed with an extremely rare and aggressive cardiac condition, a disorder doctors labeled unstable and critical. For a man who had spent decades charming the nation, from his dramatic roles on Riverdale to his daily banter on Live, this news shattered those who loved him most. Incredibly, Mark had reportedly been ignoring signs for months. He'd brush off the persistent fatigue, the moments of dizziness, the unusual shortness of breath. Just jet lag from filming, he'd say. Pushing it too hard at the gym, he'd joke. But it wasn't a joke, not this time. Kelly, always the fierce protector of her family, initially tried to shield the public from the pain their family was enduring. But as the days passed and the situation worsened, she could no longer keep silent. She issued a statement that would leave an entire nation stunned and in tears. "Mark is not just my husband. He is the rock of our home, my partner in crime, and the greatest man I've ever known. Watching him suffer, watching him fight, has been unbearable. There are moments when I sit beside him and I can't believe this is real. I keep wishing someone will wake me from this nightmare." The world had never seen Kelly Ripa like this. She was vulnerable, unfiltered, broken, yet fiercely strong. Within hours, #PrayForMark began trending across the US and beyond. Fans who had grown up watching them on All My Children, laughing with them on Live, and following their family story, now rallied together. The outpouring was immense. Tributes poured in. Ryan Seacrest, Andy Cohen, and Anderson Cooper all shared deeply personal messages. Even stars from rival networks reached out in solidarity. And perhaps most heartbreaking, their son Michael Consuelos, who has always shared a close public bond with his dad, posted a black-and-white photo of them hand in hand. "Not ready for the world without your laugh, Dad. Keep fighting. I love you." Doctors, meanwhile, were trying everything. Mark was moved to a specialist cardiac care unit, where he is now receiving an aggressive, experimental treatment aimed at stabilizing his condition. It's a race against time. The prognosis is uncertain, but one thing is sure: he's not alone. Kelly hasn't left his side except to check on their children. She sleeps in a reclining chair in his hospital room, softly humming songs from their early years, gently rubbing his hand when he drifts into pained sleep. One nurse, who chose to remain anonymous, said, She's the definition of grace. We see hundreds of cases every year, but the love she has for him, it lights up the darkest corners of that ward. Mark and Kelly's love story isn't one of tabloid fodder and fleeting romance. They've been together for nearly 30 years, quietly, steadily, lovingly. Kelly, a rising soap opera star, met Mark when he was cast as her love interest on All My Children. Their on-screen chemistry was electric, but their off-screen connection was transcendent. She saw the man before the fame. He saw the strength behind the star. Through soap operas, sitcoms, talk shows, and now health battles, they have stayed side by side. But now, for the first time, their bond is being tested in a way they never imagined. In a private message shared with family friends, Kelly wrote, "I wish I could take the pain for him. I wish I could carry the burden so he could just rest. But all I can do is be here every moment, every second." It's hard to imagine live with Mark. His humor, his charm, the way he lovingly teases Kelly, then turns to the camera with that glint in his eye. But right now, all that matters is one thing: his recovery. And as for Kelly, she's not just Mark's wife, she's his lifeline. As the world waits for more news, fans have continued to honor Mark in their own way. People have gathered outside the ABC studios in New York with cards and flowers. Online fan groups have organized prayer circles. One fan even painted a mural on a wall in the East Village showing Mark smiling next to Kelly with the word "Together." For decades, Mark Consuelos has been the handsome, charming face in our living rooms. Whether you remember his early days as Mateo Santos on All My Children, his intense turn as Hiram Lodge on Riverdale, or the daily joy he brings to live, Mark's warmth has always felt personal. He wasn't just on television. He belonged to it, to us. And that's what makes this current chapter so difficult for his fans across the country. It's as though someone we know, someone we've watched for years, is suddenly in pain, and all we can do is watch, wait, and hope. In a now bittersweet interview from 2018, Mark once said, "Fame is great, but the only thing that matters to me is my family. If everything ended tomorrow, as long as Kelly and the kids were okay, I'd still be the richest man in the world." Those words now echo with eerie clarity. Because for Mark, it hasn't been about red carpets or ratings. His proudest role has never been host or actor. It's husband and dad. Kelly Ripa, a woman who has spent decades commanding the spotlight, has always been a force of nature. But now, with the eyes of a nation watching, she uses that same strength, not for the cameras, but for the man beside her. A family friend speaking anonymously said, "She's the definition of grace. She barely has slept. She reads him letters fans have sent. She plays old clips from their shows to make him smile. She whispers, 'You've got this, handsome,' every time they bring in the consultants. She's doing what no one sees, keeping him tethered to hope. It's not just romantic, it's heroic." Meanwhile, their children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, have shown a maturity beyond their years. We've seen them grow up, sharing jokes and vacations with their famous parents. But behind the laughs has always been deep affection. Now they find themselves quietly stepping into roles of immense support. They liaise with doctors, shield their mother from media pressures, and sit in silent vigil when Kelly needs a moment to rest. In a short Instagram story, just a black screen and simple words, their daughter Lola wrote, "No cameras, no jokes, just love. Hold your people close." Across the country, Mark's fans have responded with extraordinary empathy. One coffee shop on the Upper West Side put a sign in the window saying, "Our morning coffee is with you, Mark and Kelly." A dance studio in New Jersey had students create a tribute video to send to the family. In a digital world often dominated by outrage and division, this shared outpouring has reminded us of our capacity for compassion.
Few know this, but at their 20-year vow renewal, held quietly in a private garden, Kelly said these words to Mark. "You're the hero in every story I've ever wanted to tell. The reason I believe in forever. If there's a next life, I want to find you again." And now, as Kelly holds Mark's hand through tubes and hospital machinery, those words feel like a promise she's keeping. Through sickness, through uncertainty, through love. Inside ABC, Mark's absence has left an enormous void. Producers on Live with Kelly and Mark have reportedly paused filming indefinitely. Guest hosts were considered, but Kelly quietly told executives the show would be postponed out of respect. One senior ABC executive said, "There is no Live with Kelly and Mark without Mark."